Tomorrow tariffs 25% on Canada and 25% on Mexico.
Trump's new tariffs, shocks on U.S., Canada, and Mexico. Imagine waking up to find out that everything you buy, cars, food, and even household goods, just got a lot more expensive. That's exactly what happened when former President Donald Trump announced a shocking 25% tariff on all imports from Canada and Mexico. This bold move, aimed at tackling illegal immigration and drug trafficking, has ignited a firestorm of economic chaos, political tension, and consumer outrage. But here's the real question. Was this a stroke of genius or a massive mistake? So, what exactly led Trump to pull the trigger on these tariffs? Well, according to him, both Canada and Mexico weren't doing enough to stop the flow of illegal drugs, especially fentanyl, into the U.S. and immigration. That was another big reason. With record numbers of people crossing the southern border, Trump wanted to send a clear message. Do more or pay the price. And what's his weapon of choice? Trade. Together, Canada and Mexico make up over $1.5 trillion in trade with the U.S. every year. That's huge. And by slapping a 25% tariff on every single import from these two countries, Trump was essentially holding their economies hostage. The moment these tariffs were announced, businesses went into full-blown panic mode. Supply chains that took decades to build were now at risk. The auto industry? Screwed. Farmers? Even worse. Did you know that a single car part can cross the U.S.-Mexico border up to 8 times before a vehicle is fully assembled? Now, with a 25% tariff, manufacturers have to pay significantly more just to keep the production line moving. And who ends up paying for it? You, the customer. The farming disaster. Farmers in the U.S., Canada, and Mexico rely on free trade to sell their goods at competitive prices. With the new tariffs, their products became too expensive for foreign buyers. Some American farmers even found themselves stuck with unsold crops, while others were forced to lay off workers just to survive. The manufacturing breakdown companies that rely on raw materials from Canada and Mexico, like steel and aluminum, saw their costs skyrocket. Many were forced to either raise prices or shut down operations entirely. But the worst part? It wasn't just businesses that suffered. Regular Americans, people like you and me, got hit hard. Grocery bills went up because of higher import costs. Cars got more expensive because manufacturers had to pass the cost on to customers. Inflation surged, making it even harder for families to make ends meet. And the timing? Absolutely brutal. With inflation already stressing out millions, Trump's tariffs added gasoline to the fire. But Canada and Mexico weren't just going to sit there and take it. No, they hit back hard. Canada's response. Canada slapped a 25% tariff on $20 billion worth of American goods. The Canadian government also doubled down on securing its borders to avoid further escalations. Mexico's response. Mexico deployed 10,000 troops to its northern border, hoping to convince the U.S. that they were serious about stopping illegal crossings. They also prepared their own retaliatory tariffs, specifically targeting American-made products. The result? A full-scale trade war that nobody wanted, but everyone was forced to fight. Inside the U.S., Trump's decision sparked a massive political firestorm. The Republican divide. Some Republicans supported the tariffs, arguing that America had to take a stand against illegal immigration and drug trafficking. But others feared that the economic consequences would outweigh any potential benefits. The Democratic response Democrats saw the tariffs as a reckless move that would hurt middle-class Americans. They pushed for legislative measures to counteract Trump's trade policies. The public reaction protests erupted across major cities, with consumers demanding an end to the price hikes. Businesses lobbied Washington to reconsider, fearing long-term damage to the economy. So, where do we go from here? The economic realignment Canada and Mexico are now looking for alternative trade partners to reduce their reliance on the U.S. If this trend continues, America might lose its strongest allies in North America. Possible trade agreement revisions. Some experts believe the USMCA could be renegotiated yet again. Others warn that if the tariffs stay in place too long, they could lead to long-term economic damage. The global ripple effect. Other countries are watching closely, wondering if they should impose their own tariffs in response. If global trade protectionism spreads, we could be looking at a full-blown economic downturn. The deeper economic implications. A slow-burning crisis? If you thought the immediate fallout from these tariffs was bad, just wait. The long-term consequences could be even worse. While Trump's tariffs may have been intended as a short-term pressure tactic, history tells us that trade wars are never simple. They start with a few economic bruises, but over time, they can lead to something much worse. Full-scale economic downturns. A hit to U.S. competitiveness. One of the biggest risks here is that the U.S. could lose its competitive edge in global markets. American companies that rely on cheap imports from Canada and Mexico are now forced to either absorb massive costs or pass them on to consumers. That means companies from China, Europe, and even India suddenly become more attractive options for international buyers. Supply chain disruptions. The new normal? The modern economy is built on interconnected supply chains that cross borders multiple times. By increasing the cost of doing business with Canada and Mexico, Trump is essentially forcing companies to rethink their entire supply strategy. Some companies may relocate production elsewhere, possibly even outside of North America entirely, leading to job losses at home. The bigger picture: will this trigger a global shift? Other major economies like the European Union and China are closely watching how these tariffs play out. If they see the U.S. using trade as a weapon, they might impose their own tariffs in retaliation. This could push the world toward a more protectionist trade system, making it harder for businesses everywhere to grow. In short, what started as a North American trade war could quickly spiral into a global economic conflict. How this could backfire on Trump's supporters. Here's where things get really interesting. A lot of the industries that are hurt the most by these tariffs, automotive, agriculture, and manufacturing, are actually located in states that overwhelmingly voted for Trump in both 2016 and 2024. The irony of the auto industry's struggle. Michigan, Ohio, and Pennsylvania are some of the biggest auto manufacturing states. They all played a key role in Trump's re-election. But with auto prices rising and production slowing down, thousands of jobs in these states could be on the line. Farmers left behind. Trump promised to protect American farmers, but these tariffs have actually done the opposite. With Canada and Mexico imposing their own retaliatory tariffs, U.S. farmers are struggling to sell their products abroad. Many are watching their profits disappear, with no clear solution in sight. Small businesses suffering. It's not just big corporations feeling the pinch. Small businesses that rely on imported goods are also being hit hard. Many are struggling to keep prices low, and some may be forced to shut down entirely. Could this trade war end up hurting Trump's own voter base more than anyone else? That's the million-dollar question. Trade policies don't just affect the economy, they shape elections. And Trump's tariffs could become a key issue in the next election cycle. If the tariffs lead to job losses and higher prices, even some of Trump's strongest supporters might start questioning whether this was the right move. Democrats are already using the tariffs as a political weapon, accusing Trump of waging a reckless economic war. Even within the Republican Party, there's division. Some GOP lawmakers are worried that prolonged tariffs will weaken the economy and hurt their chances in upcoming elections. So, will this trade war cost Trump politically? Or will his tough stance on trade win him even more support from voters who believe in his America First philosophy? At this point, there are a few different ways this could play out. Let's break them down. The tariffs stay and the trade war gets worse. Canada and Mexico refuse to back down. The U.S. doubles down, increasing tariffs even more. Businesses suffer, job losses pile up, and the economy takes a hit. Negotiations lead to a new deal. Facing mounting pressure, all three countries return to the negotiating table. A revised USMCA agreement is formed, including stronger border security measures. tariffs are rolled back and trade stabilizes. The U.S. economy slows down and Trump is forced to reconsider. If the economy starts struggling and voters turn against Trump's trade policies, he may be pressured to reverse course. This could lead to a gradual reduction of tariffs, but not before significant economic damage has already been done. Which of these scenarios do you think is most likely? Let us know in the comments. The cost of everyday goods is rising. Businesses are struggling to adapt. Political tensions are at an all-time high, and the longer this trade war drags on, the harder it will be to undo the damage. At the end of the day, Trump's tariffs were meant to send a message. Play by America's rules or pay the price. But the question remains, was the price worth it? What do you think? Was Trump right or wrong? Let us know in the comments. Like this video if you found it insightful. Subscribe for more deep dives into global politics and economics. Comment below with your thoughts. How do you think this trade war will play out? Until next time, stay informed and stay curious.